Welcome, everyone. It's great to have you in our webinar, Closing the Skills and Gender Gap in STEM. Where do we stand? This webinar is organized by Equals EU, Europe's regional partnership for gender equality in the digital age. I'm Selin Tagmat from All Digital, one of the proud partners of the Equals EU project. So to start our webinar, first I would like to give the floor to our All Digital CEO, Peter Pavlovji, to welcome you on behalf of our organization and to introduce you to the All Digital Weeks. The floor is yours, Peter.
Thank you very much, Celine. And I would like to welcome everyone. I'm hoping that you can hear me well. My internet connection is a bit unstable. I hope there will be no interruptions. My name is Peter Pavlovji, Director of All Digital, and I would like to welcome all our speakers and participants today at this event. I would like to introduce the All Digital Weeks campaign, which we are running now, and which has the title of Enhance Your Digital Skills, very much aligned with the European Commission's Year of Skills initiative. So we are supporting with our campaign this program. What is the All Digital Weeks campaign? It's one of the major European campaigns on digital skills and competencies awareness raising for inclusion, empowerment, and employment. It's been organized by the All Digital Network since 2010. And over these years, it has helped over 1.5 million people to enhance their skills, to get access, to get online, either for the first time or to advance their digital skills. The campaign is 3 weeks long. It started the 17th of April, and it's running until the end of this week, the 7th of May. It's being supported by the European Commission, and it involves a number of international, national, regional, and local partners, participating organizations, many European countries. We picked 6 topics for our campaign, including the digital competence framework and the use and the promotion of the framework, and also to support the ongoing initiative to approach a common European digital skills certification scheme. We talk about digital skills for equity, diversity, and inclusion, from basic skills to advanced. We also focus on digital media literacy and culture. We address serious issues of cybersecurity and safer internet. And we also talk about digital skills for environment and sustainability, and also digital skills for specific sectors. I already mentioned that our supporter and co-founder is the European Commission, but we also have industrial supporting partners, namely Microsoft, whose representative is also with us today, and Certiport. And we have a lot of national coordinators. These are all digital member organizations who are promoting the campaign and coordinate local events. In 21 countries, we have appointed national coordinators to ensure the European scope of our campaign. And we also have, for the same reason, European level strategic partners, other European associations who are partnering with All Digital and supporting our activities. It's important to tell you that anyone can join the All Digital Weeks campaign, follow our activities and events. We have a dedicated website, alldigitalweeks.eu, and anyone can, after registration, submit your training activities, events that you may organize during this period. Over the 3 weeks of the program, that's how we started 2 weeks ago, including an international launch event of the campaign on the 19th of April. And we are very proud that it was opened by Commissioner Nicolas Schmit from the European Commission DG Employment. And that's how we continued last week with 4 interesting webinars on different subjects. And this is the program for this week. And we are the second event on that list, and there will be more events coming up today, tomorrow, and a closing event on Friday. If you need any more information about the campaign, that is alldigitalweeks.eu, or you can contact us. And thank you very much for your attention, and wishing you a a very interesting webinar. Thank you, Salim. Back to you.
Okay, sorry. Yes, now it's fine. Thank you, Peter. So this is how our agenda looks today. I'm already quite impatient to present our speakers and hear about their insights from a variety of initiatives and projects. But first, let me introduce you the Equals You project briefly. So our project Equals EU is a regional partnership that was born from Equals Global Partnership for Gender Equality in the Digital Age. It's a Horizon funded project, a 3-year project. We are now in the final year, so we have already some results to share with you. We have 19 partners and external partners covering European countries and beyond. And our main objectives are promoting gender balance in the technology sector by supporting equal access, skills, and career opportunities, and also promoting gender equity in social innovation by capacity building activities. So to achieve our objectives, we have a 4-step plan. So the first step is analysis. It's a methodological work for mapping gender inclusive innovation ecosystems in 22 countries based on a survey and focus groups. So out of that, we have already deliverables, including policy brief and country fact sheets, as well as an upcoming lexicon of gender equity terminology in different languages. And following that, the second step is co-creation, which is actually hosting innovation camps and hackathons in 19 countries. This already happened in 2022. And our aim was to involve girls and women in developing new solutions for digital inclusion and also new ICT products and services for gender equity. And after that, our third step was mentoring. So basically, we ran a 6-month incubator program on gender inclusive entrepreneurship for the winners of hackathon and innovation camps to lead them towards new startups led by women and to develop gender equity tools for digital inclusion. And finally, our project will be concluded with a focus on knowledge exchange. This is basically a professional development of future leaders and advocates in gender equity and digital inclusion. So this is actually development of a course in the form of 3 weeks summer school in Valencia, Geneva, and Riga that will happen during this summer, and that can be used as a model for future professional development courses. So I just want to give you a snapshot of our available project results. We recently published a policy brief, which outlines the characteristics needed for gender inclusive and social innovation ecosystems. And also we published 22 country fact sheets that sums up the existing knowledge base and networks for social innovation and digital inclusion. So you can download these deliverables from our website. And here I just wanted to share with you the overall mood in our innovation camps and hackathons that were organized in 19 countries with the participation of over 300 participants. Out of these innovation camps and hackathons, we had 20 winning teams and solutions. And you can check also these from our website. You will see many inspiring solutions. For example, some mobile apps and other solutions to promote gender equality and digital inclusion in different settings. So this is how our partnership looks like. We place importance to collaborative work, both within our partnership, but also beyond. So That's the main reason, I think, why we are having this session today, because we know that we are not alone. We are a lot of projects and initiatives working for the same objective. So today we aim to share our key learnings and discuss on a future vision together. So we have three burning questions today. What are the giant steps we have taken here in Europe in the recent years? And what is the big gap that we still need to bridge? What are the factors that can make girls and women to be optimistic about opportunities in the STEM world in the coming years? And how can we streamline our efforts in policy, research, industry, and civil society to speed up the process towards a gender inclusive and digital future? So I'm delighted to introduce our speakers. Our first two speakers, Dana Adriana Puya-Morel from the European Commission and Solène Boutier from EIT Raw Materials will be sharing their journey in empowering girls and women by boosting their digital and entrepreneurial skills in two European flagship initiatives, STEAM Fests and Girls Go Circular. And then we have Tamara Dancheva from GSMA. We are working closely together in the Equals EU project. She's leading the knowledge exchange work package, and she will be sharing insights from the Equals EU and the global partnership. And then we have Maria Sangliano from Smart Venice. She is involved in several projects with focus on gender equality in school and research environments. Among these projects are Caliper and FIT. And then we have Vanya Nito, and she will be sharing with us some alternative approaches in creating excitement and providing encouragement for girls to choose STEM careers. So we have quite different perspectives, and we are looking forward to hearing from our speakers. I would like to first give the floor to Dana to start with. Please, Dana, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy to be with you here today. Yes, indeed. So I'm from the European Commission. I work in the SME policy unit, and my portfolio is to support women entrepreneurs and girls to become more entrepreneurial and to achieve their full potential. So I want to show you, if you'd like to share my slides, I want to show you one initiative that you, Celine, already announced, what we call the STEAM Fest. So we have put together, yeah, you can go to the next slide. So we have put together an initiative to reach out to girls and women, and we want to empower them. And I noticed in your slides also before you had this word empowerment, because we want them to really become the best version of themselves. So we want to offer them entrepreneurship competence and digital competencies, and I see here within the digital space. So this initiative is STEAM. It's called like that because we took STEM, we added arts, it makes STEAM, and then we put E from entrepreneurship, and it makes esteem. And maybe you're wondering, esteem is also a play on words with self-esteem, and I'm sure you know, with girls and women, this is really an important issue to build the self-confidence, because women and girls are not confident in the skills, in their strength. They're not using them. If you do a poll with girls and boys for the same job, or women and men for the same job, women, a lot of them will say, well, I don't think I have the skills. I think I have to go to school first. But men will say, I can do it. So this is why it's important to put in place project like this. This one that we're doing, it's for 4 years. So we're going to do for 4 years STEAM festivals. These festivals are basically a succession of workshops where we train girls and women. So we separate, there is a separate one for girls and a separate one for women. We go in all the countries in Europe. So we started with Europe first. As you can see, the funding comes from the Single Market Program. And in between the fest, so basically we have a spring festival and an autumn festival. And in between this fest, we are building some online communities because we want this learning to continue. We don't want it to be a one-off fest. Oh, it's a great event, it's a festival, we had fun, we learned something, but then the learning is gone. So we're continuing in the online communities. So we're building these online communities. We started last year. We started with Belgium because, you know, I work for the European Commission. I'm in Belgium. Some of you here are in Belgium, so it was easier to pilot and to start in Belgium. And now we're in the second year. We've gone to some other countries. I think we've done 5 or 6 countries, both for women and for girls. The one for women, we organize it is like an open call. We just invite women who want to become entrepreneurs or who are entrepreneurs but want to boost their skills and competencies. We invite them to join us. And for girls, we work with schools. So we tend to find schools. We ask for schools who want to join us. It's not easy because schools are very busy schedule. So it's not so easy to get girls, but we have to work with schools because that's where we find the girls. And now that we're building the program, we have more and more visibility. So it's getting a little bit easier to find these schools. And before I want to show you 2 videos that we filmed at the first festival. We've moved from there when we learned a lot, but I wanted to show you a little bit to get the spirit of this festival, so to see what happens there. But before I end, I'd like to say that indeed, because Solène is going to speak after me, we also partnered with Girls Go Circular, and now we work with them because they have a different set of competencies. Solène is going to explain them. So we decided to pool forces together because we want the girls to have even a better experience, to have even more learning. So since we're getting these girls and we want to reach out to as many girls and women as we can, we want to pool forces together. And this is, I think, a very good example for how different initiatives, separate initiatives, if we pool forces together, actually will have a much wider impact. So I think it's important to keep this in mind. And I'm very proud that we managed to do that. It's not obvious in the beginning, you know, when you have different activities, but I think you could take this as an example of how much more we can do if we pool forces together. So if you'd like to play the first video, I'd like to show you the videos now, and then maybe we'll take some questions. So let's see if we can play the first video.
Science means a lot to me. I like doing science.
For me, it means discovering and having fun.
We can learn new things that we didn't know before.
I like the fact that there's an escape room challenge because it's very fun for all the kids, the word searches, and the fact that we're working as a team.
The most inspiring thing for me was when Ms. Sharma was coming to speak.
I think it was very interesting seeing a 15-year-old get inspired by coding.
The most thing that I liked is that they showed that girls can do everything that like boys as stereotypes seems. So I'm really happy that we are looking at all genders.
My message for other girls is don't shy away from science just because it might be dominated by men. Just try. If you fail, try again, fail harder, and then you will succeed eventually. Don't let the boys do everything and follow your dreams. Just go for it.
All right, so that was the first one, and now we have the women one.
The most inspiring thing from yesterday and today's event is the power of ecosystem and the partnership. Being a partner ourselves in the project, we've seen that when you bring women and great minds together, you create impact.
Seeing nationalities from all over the place, having women come especially to Belgium just for today, I think is the most amazing thing.
I just attended a workshop on personal leadership, and I really loved it because I felt that I finally touched with my authentic self that was driving me all this time, but about who I forgot.
I learned a lot about design. I learned a lot about importance of digital age as well. And it's always some ideas what coming up to your mind to improve yourself, improve your business, and to scale.
My message for all women, based on the interactions and the discussions I've heard today, is find your true self. Take the path to that journey to find who you are, and then be confident enough to speak up and tell the others who you are.
All right, so I'm finished here. I don't know if we can take questions because I wanted to end with the videos. I think the message in the videos are very powerful.
Thank you very much, Dana. I think we can, first of all, thank you for highlighting the need to support the self-esteem of girls and women, because this is something also that we experienced in the Equals EU project when we were organizing innovation camps and hackathons. We noticed that indeed girls and women were sometimes overwhelmed with even with a single word innovation, that they think they don't have what it takes. So, and in the end, in the third year of the project, we created a new key message that every idea matters. So I think we are on the same page. So I would suggest to continue with the other speakers, but also something I forgot to say. If participants have some questions appearing in their minds during the speeches, please just post it on the chat, and at the end we will have a brief debate following the questions. Thanks a lot, Dana. So I would like to give the floor then to Solen to share her experience from the Girls Go Circular project. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for having me here today. I'm very happy to be present in this webinar. My name is Solen Moutier. I work for the European Institute for Innovation and Technology, EIT Raw Materials. And today I would like to tell you about a project led by the EIT community and with the support of the European Commission called Girls Go Circular. So I will be sharing my screen. Let's see if this works. Yes, I think you can see it now. So this project aims at developing the digital and entrepreneurial skills of secondary school students through an online learning program on the circular economy. So I thought I would start by maybe doing a short recap of what is the circular economy, because sometimes we assume people know, and that's not always the case. So the circular economy is this economic system based on the reuse and regeneration of materials and products, as opposed to extracting constantly new resources. And the idea basically is to produce goods and services in a sustainable and environmentally friendly way. So Girls Go Circular is a project coordinated by EIT Raw Materials with the support of the EIT community and of the Commission, DGEAC. And it aims to equip at least 40,000 schoolgirls of the age of 14 to 19 years old across Europe with digital and entrepreneurial skills by 2027. How do we do this? We are developing and implementing an online learning program about the circular economy. So far, we managed to reach more than 26,000 girls in more than 700 schools in 12 countries. But the project is upscaling this year. So starting from this year, we will be implementing the project in 21 countries, actually, of Europe. The project fulfills several policy objectives. The first one is that it's part of the Digital Education Action Plan, more specifically Action 13, encouraging women participation in STEM. That means that we're helping girls develop their digital skills through a series of challenges that are available on our learning platform and different exercise using various digital softwares. So for instance, the girls are encouraged to build an app mockup or design a website or use 3D mapping, learn about machine learning, which is an artificial intelligence tool. So this is one of the tools, like some of the tools that we use and skills that we train. One of the objectives of the program is also obviously to help closing the gender gap in STEM and ICT, and that's what I would like to really focus on today during this talk. So indeed, one of the main challenges in closing the gender gap is the gender stereotypes that still prevail in primary and secondary education. And I think there we really have strong synergies with the STEAM Fest program in this sense, because indeed we noticed that in primary and secondary education, there is gender stereotypes that lead to what is called a self-efficacy gender gap, which is the difference between the young girls and the boys' confidence and belief in their abilities. So we're definitely linked to the self-esteem issue that we were discussing before. And we noticed that looking at primary and secondary education, the gender gap in digital competencies is non-existent or in favor of girls, but actually girls show lower levels of self-efficacy, even when they outperform the boys or when they perform equally. So this is something that we want to address with Girls Go Circular by helping deconstruct those gender stereotypes in secondary education, by helping the girls developing the digital skills, but also boosting their confidence and their knowledge. So we use a lot of those role play exercise where we ask the girls to put themselves in the shoes of CEO of a manufacturing company, or as a computer engineer, or as a software developer, so that they really picture themselves in those positions and that they see that this is actually something that they could do in the future. We also do most of the programs in the classroom with the support of the teachers. So that means that we have boys taking part in the program as well. And we do feel like this is also important to trigger the discussion within the classroom with the support of the teacher on why those affirmative actions like Girls Go Circular and programs that are really targeting girls like STEAM Fest are necessary to change the mindsets. And this is very important. We do a lot of group challenges and we encourage the girls to take a leading role within the group and to be the one presenting the ideas, pitching their plan, let's say, yeah, kind of leading the groups within their team, which would not necessarily be the case naturally. Just to go a bit further on this closing the gender gap in STEM and ICT, another challenges that we identify is, of course, the insufficient exposure to female role models in STEM and ICT. A lot of women's talents and achievements are not always made visible to a larger audience, and this leads to a lack of sense of belonging and preventing some girls and women from following a steady or career path in STEM and ICT. So with Girls Go Circular, now we've always included in our new modules one lesson on female role models, leading in a sector or in one part of innovation field. So whether it is artificial intelligence, robotics, sustainable mobility, the different topics that we touched upon in our program. We also have the Women and Girls in STEM Forum, which is our annual event for the program, but I will be talking about it a bit later, so I won't get into it now. The Girls Go Circular also contributes to the European Innovation Agenda and supports the EIT flagship initiative, Deep Tech Talent Initiative, which was launched this year and aims to train 1 million talents in deep tech by 2025. So of course, for us, we're dealing with secondary school students, so a bit too young to be deep in deep tech yet, but we're trying to help them develop competencies that will be needed in the future in deep tech sectors, such as problem solving, analytical skills, let's say attention to detail, this type of thing. And we also have modules that address deep tech topics like artificial intelligence and robotics, and new modules coming up this year. Last but not least, Girls Go Circular was part of EIT's response to the Ukrainian war. So we translated the program in Ukrainian last year, and we are supporting our partners there to organize workshops dedicated for girls to support their learning throughout the war. So concretely, this is what the learning program looks like. Girls Go Circular, you have the homepage here. It's called the Circular Learning Space, and I can really encourage you to go there and just create an account. It's free and fully accessible, and then you will have access to everything. So that means 15 learning modules. 2 of them are introductory modules, one on the circular economy and the second one on online safety. So because we use a lot of digital tools and we ask the students to create profiles, we want to make sure that they do that safely and securely and not share private information that is not needed. And then we have 13 learning modules that explore the topic of circular economy and sustainability through different angles. The topics really have a wide range, from sustainable mobility to fashion to food, to hospitals of the future that are carbon-free, how to design cities that are more sustainable, how to deal with smartphone and e-waste, how to reduce plastics. It's really lots of different topics. It is available in 12 languages, soon to be 16. At the moment, we are translating the program in French, German, Dutch, and Estonian. And we have more than 60,000 registered users for now. The teaching methodology is using a learning by doing approach. So that means that we use a lot of interactive exercise, as I say, societal challenges. So we found that STEM is more attractive when connected to concrete societal challenges. So that's what we do. We always really create a real life situation. For instance, telling the student you are the CEO of a manufacturing company and you want to reduce plastic in your packaging. So what would you do? And then they have to come up with a product prototype and develop it themselves, for instance. So we noticed that this tends to raise visibility and also social value to STEM jobs and make it more concrete for younger audiences. The program is usually done in about 8 hours of learning. Of course, it can be done in much longer if they want to do more modules than they have to. So at the end of those 8 hours, the teachers and the students receive a certificate acknowledging the competencies that they gain, and those are aligned with the digital framework, DigiComp, the entrepreneurial competence framework, Entrecomp, and GreenComp for the green competencies. And finally, we also develop a teacher guidebook to support the teachers throughout the process. This year, we have big challenges ahead, so we're expanding to more EU member states to cover the entire EU by the end of next year. We're also launching a junior alumni program, and as I say, we're developing new modules focusing on deep tech. And last but not least, we have our annual event called the Women and Girls in STEM Forum that we're organizing to kind of reward the participant to the Girls Go Circular program. This will be the 3rd edition this year, which will take place on 5th December in Brussels, but also in a hybrid format. We've been really lucky with the previous editions. It's been really successful. Actually, Mrs. Dana Puya-Morel was present in the last edition, which is very nice. And so basically, we use this opportunity to select a group of students from Girls Go Circular through a competition. So last year, we had this challenge where they had to come up with an idea for an app that would help deconstruct gender stereotypes in STEM. And then the winners are taken to Brussels. We had a group of about 50 students last year coming to Brussels for the forum, receiving a mentoring session and meeting professionals from STEM. But also on the side, we're holding discussion with high-level speakers on the state of gender equality in STEM and ICT, European initiatives that already exist, and what are the challenges that are still remaining. If you're interested, please consult the policy brief with the main findings of the project that is available on our website of Girls Go Circular. And I think that concludes my time. If you have any questions, please feel free to address them to me by the chat or afterwards. And I will also share my email address so you can follow up if you have any interest in the program. Thanks a lot for your attention.
Thank you very much, Solen. We are looking forward to the Women in STEM Forum, and this year we would like to be there as well. So, as you mentioned, there is no gender gap in terms of digital skills and interest in STEM topics at a younger age. And as girls grow, they start losing this interest due to stereotyping and other reasons. So I think Girls Go Circular really target this window of opportunity between the age of 14 and 19 to keep their interest. And I think we noted the approach of hands-on, giving them a hands-on experience, as you briefly summarized from your platform and learning materials, and also to highlight role models. I think the European Commission also just launched Women Innovate campaign, a one-year campaign to raise the visibility of role models of women with achievements in different STEM subjects. So we can go back to that later if there is an interest. So thanks a lot. Then I would like to give the floor to Tamara to share her insights from Equals EU and the global partnership.
Thank you, Celine. It's a pleasure to be here with you, but virtually, and represent both the Equals EU project and the Equals global partnership. I think it's important to put things into context, although I have to say it will be a difficult act to follow after such amazing presentations before me. I truly enjoyed the videos and already have lots of ideas. Anyway, I wanted to quickly, of course, walk you through what is Equals, right? Because, of course, you heard from Celine and All Digital about the Equals EU project, but the name Equals is not coincidental, right? So Equals really is the global partnership for gender equality in the digital age. As you can see from the screen, it aims to bring public and private sectors together to bridge the digital gender divide, and it works across 4 of the SDGs. Of course, gender equality is an obvious one. Certainly partnerships, because that sits at the core of the global partnership, and of course, quality education, and then innovation. We as GSMA have a very special role to play in this partnership because we are one of the 5 co-founders of Equals, alongside UN Women, the International Trade Center, UN University, and the International Telecommunications Union. As of today, there are over 100 member organizations from, as I mentioned, both public and private sector, a number of international organizations as well. And Equals actually works to bridge the digital gender divide across all 4 main areas. So access, skills, leadership, and of course, research. I hope we can agree that we cannot bridge the digital gender divide by just focusing on one issue alone, right? Because if we don't ensure women and girls have basic access, then they can't have advanced digital skills either. That also means they can't continue to become the next digital creators and innovators in the economy. And subsequently, it also means that we lack data and research on these issues, which is why in the first instance, Equals looks into issues pertaining to lack of gender desegregated data when we discuss these issues, but of course also about evidence that should underpin all of these 3 activities. These are some of the partners, just to give you an idea of who is with us. As you can see, it's a really broad range of stakeholders because both as GSMA, but also, of course, as equals, we believe that no one stakeholder can close the digital gender gap on its own. This is, of course, why GSMA is also a partner to the Equals EU project. And I will walk you through in a second about some of the accomplishments to date and how, of course, these accomplishments and this impact contributes to why we are here today. And that is, how do we bridge the gap in STEM for women and girls, and of course, how we move the needle on this very important issue. I encourage you to visit the website of Equals. I'm sure the colleagues from All Digital will post the link in the chat in a second. As you can see, in the recent years, a lot of work has been done on the thought leadership side. At the very bottom left, you see a report on perception of power, which looks into issues pertaining to championing female leadership in tech. The findings from this report also serve to inform some of the work under the Equals EU project. So again, for those who are interested, the colleagues will also share the link to this research. Now, turning my attention to, of course, the project itself, as Celine mentioned, we as GSMA lead the work around exchange knowledge and transfer of technology for equity. Now, to make this translatable, of course, to those of you who are not familiar with the project, we work across 3 key areas. In the first instance, we, alongside, of course, 11 other partners to this particular work package, look into how we can accelerate the overall impact from the project to date by linking, of course, existing stakeholders, leveraging GSMA's role as co-founder of Equals, and also developing new leaders, which is, of course, where the summer school that Celine mentioned comes into play. And I will also talk about it in a bit. We also work to promote knowledge exchange, particularly between European and among European and non-European partners and countries. And again, particularly among public and private sectors, because GSMA, which represents the global mobile industry, is in fact the only private sector member of this project. But I think that's critical because it has been able to contribute with very different insights, experiences, and lessons learned, therefore. And last but not least, we are supporting the professional development of roughly 24 future women leaders and advocates in gender equity and digital inclusion, which we hope will serve to kick off a wider network following the completion of the project at the end of this year that will support other emerging women tech innovators and certainly female startup leaders as well. Now, on the screen, you see a very rough overview of the deliverables and activities that we have been able to leverage over the past 2 years. We're now in year 3 through, of course, our contributions to the project. And I must emphasize that this is a collective effort, and you'll see in a second who has been helping GSMA along the way. As you can see, a big focus this year is these professional development boot camps that will focus on the future development of the women leaders that have emerged from the hackathons and innovation camps that Celine also referenced at the beginning of this presentation. The beauty of this is that the learnings, but more importantly, the capacity building courses will be made available to the public. They will be made available to all of you, which means that you can easily take those courses and implement them as part of your own educational programs as you, of course, look to empower women and girls in the digital economy. So stay tuned. We will be very happy to share that with you. Who are the other partners? And I'm actually happy to see some of them online with us today. Oslo Metropolitan University, based in Norway, leads the project. And as you can see, the rest of the colleagues are listed, mainly academia from across the globe. I want to acknowledge in particular Kharkiv National University of Internal Affairs in Ukraine, because it's no secret that they are undergoing an incredibly difficult moment, both in their own country, but also, of course, as an institution. And despite these challenges, they are still actively engaging and supporting with the activities. In fact, the summer school was supposed to take place in Kharkiv in week 1, but sadly we've had to move it to Latvia. But I really want to give them kudos because it really goes to show their testament. And that is also why we are determined to continue their legacy and continue with the summer school. And of course, I want to thank our Digital, who is the organizer of today's webinar. Now, I'm cautious of my timing, so let me quickly walk you through what is perhaps of most interest to those of you who joined today's webinar. And that is, how is this project, right, relatable to my work? What can I learn here, right? Well, in the first instance, we ran in 2021 a colloquium meeting that brought public and private partners together to look into this issue of perceptions of power that I briefly referenced earlier, right? To learn really how can we shift the equation when we talk about female leadership in the digital age, and what sits at the core of this challenge, and more importantly, how can we overcome it? And for this purpose, we ran 3 workshops, as you see from my screen, on strategic communication to promote gender equity, women's digital rights in healthcare, and on leveraging STI skills for gender equity. We had over 90 representatives, and this was the first public-facing report that we published, and that, again, I'm sure my colleagues will share in the chat. Here is basically what we learned. And this also shows, of course, the variety of stakeholders that we had with us on the day. Well, it's probably not going to be a surprise to share with you that key here was really this emphasis on showcasing transformational female leadership and why it was important, right? Basically, we found out through the discussions and through the previous research we have done that women on average tend to be more of transformational leaders compared to men. Why is this important? Because transformational leadership, according to academic research, is the most effective leadership style out there. So of course, therefore, that means we need to foster this type of leadership in upcoming young women, and not necessarily only young, right? Women who want to lead. And it is really critical we support that. And we also spoke at length about the importance of implementing mixed gender mentoring, and of course, leveraging positive social norms, conclusions that also my previous panelists shared as well. Of course, much attention was paid to facilitating access for women from underprivileged backgrounds, because we can agree that women are not a homogeneous group, and very often we talk about them as if they are, right? But women from different socioeconomic and ethnic backgrounds face different challenges, and that needs to be taken into account when we think about how do we mainstream gender policy, gender in government policies, right? And also in national action plans and in budgets. So one of the other key conclusions was also the necessity to undertake concerted action, right, across the board and across sectors, and of course to encourage impactful initiatives. And we already heard about some of those already, and I'm happy to see that this aligns also with our thinking and with what we discovered throughout our journey. Now, turning my attention, of course, to the summer school, which Celine mentioned, that will focus on these 24 future leaders. We have designed a tailor-made program that our participants will be indulging in, that will hopefully help them develop much needed soft skills, but also, of course, much needed critical skills around digital equity, and certainly also leadership. And as I mentioned, subsequently, there will be a permanent repository of those digital learning materials, which will be open source and which you will all have access to. But these are the topics that we chose to focus on because, again, following from what I already spoke about, we identified those 5 topics as extremely critical, right? I already spoke about the need of investing in transformational leadership. And by all means, of course, our message is not to say that men are not good leaders. It's just to say, pay attention, women lead differently. And actually, I want to open a bracket here. The research study that we did in 2021, initially on this issue, actually looked into how women perceive themselves. It didn't really ask how men perceive women as leaders and vice versa. It actually asked women, how do you perceive yourself as a leader, right? And this is what the research came back with. Women said, well, these are the characteristics that we exhibit as leaders, and that is how we identify them as transformational leaders. So I think this is a very critical finding. from the research, because again, when we talk about these issues, we often do a comparison. We don't necessarily take into account, wait a minute, right? How do I lead as a woman compared to my colleague, for example, who is a man, and why does that matter, right? And why is that important to foster? We're also going to indulge our participants in understanding and unpacking stereotypes and how they can challenge them, because of course they face them sadly in their day-to-day life. No society has reached gender equality, and therefore women continue to face these invisible barriers, as we call them, right, which underpin this power imbalance, which is why we face still discrimination and gender-based bias. We will also teach them about strategic advocacy and charismatic speaking, because of course, how you deliver your message is equally important about what your message is. And lastly, we'll look into the power of networks, right? How they can leverage that for their future startups and future work, and again, how they can become effective leaders. So this is a little bit about what will happen. I am already out of time, but please do reach out to me if you're interested in learning more about some of the project activities, and certainly about the summer school. And as we mentioned, stay tuned, because the learnings will be shared on social media and on the Equals EU website. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tamara. Tamara is one of the Equals EU partners working closely with Innovation and Innovation Camp and Hackathon winners to support their professional development to become future leaders and advocates of gender equity and digital inclusion. So it's always great to hear this firsthand experience, because you have direct insights about girls and women. And we are looking forward to our summer school in June in Valencia, Geneva, and Riga. And maybe I can share with the participants the information that we aim to share the learning materials from the summer school later on the Equals EU website. So if this is of your interest, you can follow us on that, and we will also disseminate widely the testimonials from participants and let you know about how it goes. So thank you very much. Now I want to give the floor to Maria to share her experience from a variety of projects. The floor is yours.
Celine. Thank you, Celine. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm trying to share my screen.
Sorry, Maria, I think we don't
Can you
hear
hear
you
me?
well. Can you maybe?
Can you hear me well?
Yes,
Can you
it's
hear
fine
me?
now. Okay, thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. I try to share my screen. You should see it, but yeah, in a presentation mode now. Is it okay?
Yes, that looks great.
Great, thank you. I'm really pleased to be here with you today. Thank you for the invite to All Digital and the Equals EU project. I'll try to share a few hints and reflections based on lessons learned from the field, so to speak, particularly from 3 projects where we are partners at Smart Venice. There are the Caliper, the Bias, and the Fairness in Teaching or FIT project. In Caliper, that is a Horizon 2020 project. We are supporting 9 research organizations. 7 of them are STEM research organizations from all Europe and beyond in designing and implementing gender equality plans, so internal policies. And we do so with an innovative approach based on intersectoral collaboration between higher education universities and their respective innovation ecosystems. And I really suggest you to check through the website here, because Caliper is in its 3rd, 4th and last year, actually. And so we have quite an amount of reports, deliverables, and interesting findings, along with a nice collection of role model videos. Bias is a recently started Horizon Europe project aiming at identifying and mitigating the biases that happen and can be strengthened through artificial intelligence applications, particularly in the field of human resources management and recruitment. We are all aware of the incidents that happened with, for example, Amazon using artificial intelligence systems when recruiting employees. We know that artificial intelligence can reproduce human biases based on gender and race and other inequalities. And in bias, we will design a bias detection and mitigation technology with a strong co-creation with several stakeholders from different sectors. In the Fairness in Teaching project, instead, we focus on education, and particularly STEM education. We have developed an intersectional competency framework for teachers, both from primary and secondary schools, STEM teachers in particular. We are developing an online recommender system that provides teachers with a variety of resources and learning materials and a comprehensive training package. At this link here, in a few months, the online recommender system and the FIT platform will be made available. Here in the title, since the title of this slide, I use Gender Plus as let's say as a title instead of simply gender, to make it clear since the very beginning that we adopt an intersectional approach to gender equality. So linking back to what Tamara was saying just a few moments ago, we start from the awareness that women are not all equal, and that there is a need to really acknowledge this and be aware of the fact that gender inequalities can be, let's say, even more emphasized when they are also linked to race and ethnicity inequalities, social class-based inequalities, age inequalities, or other discriminations based on disability or gender identity or sexual orientation. So in all of our projects, we really start from this. I try to follow the questions that our organizers asked us to reflect upon, starting from the giant steps that we have taken here in Europe in particular, and what are the big gaps that we still need to bridge. So I think that the major steps that we can say we have been witnessing in Europe are mostly related to the big policy advancements that are there. First of all, we have a European strategy for gender equality 2020-2025 that acknowledges the big importance of digital transition for achieving gender equality, and that is integrating actions in the Digital Education Action Plan and identifies the Women in Digital Scoreboard as a tool. The strategy, I believe this is the very first time that the strategy, the European strategy, also emphasizes a lot on overcoming binary approaches to gender equality, meaning adopting the intersectional approach that I was referring earlier on. A good news, and I think a giant step, I also believe, will be the European Gender in STEAM Manifesto. That's a forthcoming initiative from the European Commission, embedded in the European University strategies. And this manifesto will promote networking, exchange of good practices, and generate multi-stakeholder engagement, integrating STEM disciplines with arts, creative sectors, and social sciences and humanities as well. That's a similar approach to the one, of course, that was presented within the STEAM Fest and also reflected in the programs presented by the previous speakers. Also, this manifesto will promote strongly an intersectional approach. At least this was what was shared by the Commission in the workshops that were organized to introduce this forthcoming initiative. And finally, we can see a big step forward also in the European Women Innovators Award and the Women in Tech scheme that will support female-led enterprises in the deep tech sector. And there is quite a substantial support scheme, including financing, mentoring, also in collaboration with the European Innovation Council and its Women Leadership Program. So this is all very good news. The gap that we still have to fill are quite well illustrated here in this slide that comes from the She Figures report, presenting the proportion of men and women in a typical academic career in STEM, where we see that the gap is really substantial. And the longitudinal studies from She Figures present a slight improvement of the situation, but a slow one. You can see that in grade A positions, that's the full professorship in STEM, there has been a 2% increase from 2015 to 2018, but this is really taking a lot of time. So a lot to do and a lot to be done yet. And this other figure here comes instead from an EGE study based on a few European countries on the employment rate by sex, family composition, age, education level, and country of birth and disability. Here, what we can see is that highlighted with in red, there are those groups for whom the situation not improved along the years, and it's clear that the biggest inequalities are for those groups and for those women with low education background, with migrant background, and potentially also disability. So again, referring to the importance of taking care of those vulnerability with an intersectional perspective. What can really make girls and women to be optimistic on the opportunities in the STEM world in the upcoming years? There are reasons for being optimistic, in my view. First of all, since, girls can expect to work, I believe, into organizations that are, if they choose to work in STEM organizations, and STEM fields that are more and more sensitive and equipped to address gender inequalities through gender and diversity plans and policies. The European Commission alone, since 2010, for example, funded over 200 gender equality plans in European research organizations, mostly from STEM fields. So this will be a facilitation. The other reason for being optimistic is the fact that according to the EU Digital Compass 2021, by 2030, the European Union will have a shortage of 8 million ICT specialists. So there will be space and the demand in those sectors. And companies are actually facing difficulties in hiring ICT professionals. So particularly here, it's a promising sector in terms of expectations for employment. And finally, the A factor that was already mentioned by all of the previous speakers as well, interdisciplinarity, emphasis on STEAM, on creativity, on the potentials for STEM research to achieve societal and environmental impact, as it was illustrated by the Girls Go Circular approach, and the Equals EU approach as well, that is combining digital and social innovations. These are all elements for that could really encourage girls to go for it, as many of the girls from the videos were stating. Finally, how can we streamline our efforts in policy research and civil society as well as industry to speed up the process? The lessons that we learned from the three main projects that we are working in at the moment really point at the needs for promoting and nurturing gender plus inclusive ecosystems. The concept, I think, was already highlighted by the previous presentations. You cannot do it alone individually as a woman, as a girl, but you cannot do it alone as an organization. So we really need to acknowledge interdependency and emphasize and leverage on collaborations and synergies to achieve gender equality that is sustainable. This is a lesson that we are really taking out of Caliper. In Caliper, the 9 gender equality plans were successfully implemented by each partner university and research organization in collaboration with their research and innovation hubs. Each university, each research organization set up their own gender equality plus research hubs and innovation hubs. And overall, so far, we managed to include over 1,000 external stakeholders in the Caliper concrete actions that were organized. A university cannot attract students to STEM courses without collaborating with primary and secondary schools in their territories. They cannot support their own researchers in patenting, for example, or developing entrepreneurial research careers afterwards if they don't also cooperate with their industry partners. At the same time, this was also illustrated by our experience within the FIT project. In order for us in FIT to train teachers, on STEM teachers on intersectionality, for example, on how to adopt intersectionally inclusive pedagogies, we are really relying a lot on the experience from civil society and feminist NGOs that transfer their, that collaborate, transferring their knowledge and expertise to teachers within our trainings. Finally, in bias, oops, there's something. In the bias project, we are drawing as a lesson here that technology and cutting-edge technology, including artificial intelligence technology, can be designed to be sensitive to gender plus inequalities. But for this to happen, engagement of and co-creation with a variety of stakeholders is really of utmost importance. So all in all, we should leverage on collaboration and be optimistic, also because it's important that we do not ignore a sort of a backsliding phenomenon that is there with regards to gender equality policies. We hear and we perceive a lot of enthusiasm from all of the partners in the different projects, but we also witness to an increasing so-called gender fatigue, meaning that when implementing gender equality policies, a lot of organizations face a resistance that comes from this perception that we have been already, gender equality is already something that is achieved, basically, that these policies have been continuing for a lot of time now, so basically we don't need them any longer. Furthermore, intersectionality on one hand is really becoming a sort of a buzzword, but at the same time, so it seems that there is a commitment to this on one hand, but also there is resistance towards this more nuanced and inclusive conception of gender equality policies. And this is quite often also connected to the growing strength that anti-gender discourses and policies are gaining across Europe. We hear a lot that gender equality policies are, let's say, accused for being ideological and contrasted thereof. So there is a need to face this, to be aware of this, and to contrast this backsliding, again, by way of alliances and collaboration, I believe. This very last consideration was drawing on the work that we are doing in another project that is the FIERCE project that you can check out here. And having said that, I thank you a lot for your attention. And here you can find my contacts for any further questions or contacts. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Maria. You especially for giving us an optimistic overview for the future, especially with the advancement of policy aspect, but also shortage of skills. So there is demand and space. And I think we have something coming with the Equals You project that we always say we would like to transform gender inequality into social and environmental impact. So that's something I should highlight as well. And also you warned us about some backsliding or pitfalls, let's say, about gender fatigue and anti-gender discourses. So all of this were important to hear. So as I'm now giving the floor to Vanya from Microsoft, I just invite also the participants to post if they have any questions, so we can follow with questions after that. The floor is yours, Vanya.
Thank you for the invitation, and thank you for having me. It was great to hear all the previous pitches, and I think we are all aligned, and this is, I would say, a global goal that we have, that is empowering girls to have, we need to have more girls in STEM. And being part of Microsoft, I've been working for Microsoft now almost for 12 years, and it really makes me proud, the fact that this is something that we continuously constantly are working on. And me personally, I've been, advocating for girls in STEM ever since I joined. And at the same time, I do believe that there is a lot still that we need to do. And together, I'm sure we will find a way. I'm sure we will find a way to do that. So I wanted to share just a few ideas with you and a few thoughts. I want to start off with this quote that I love from the founder of Girls Who Code. And we saw this as well in the videos that Dana shared. We need to create a culture where it's okay for women to be smart, it's okay for women to be ambitious, and where it's okay for women to be leaders. I think that even though this sounds a bit like we know it, but it's still, and we saw it in the videos that were shared, for example, there's still something we need to work on. And we know that the gender gap is an issue, but the fact that we have half of the population that is really, really underrepresented in this science, technology, engineering, and maths area, it's not good. It's not good for the industry. It's not good for our world, and especially with the impact and all that we know that technology can bring. We need women into this industry. We need women to code more. We need women to be part of this. So when we look at the numbers, they really are something that makes, at least it frightens me every year. And as Maria just shared, it's not been improving. And this is something we need to think about. And collectively, we need to think how we can overcome this. Because if you look here at the engineering, manufacturing, this engineering area, women are 6.6%, right? So it's really, really tiny. Whereas other areas, of course, women are more represented, like in education, in health, etc., but really underrepresented in the STEM fields. And of course, this has impacts in our industry. We know that this starts in a young age, and that girls do really lose interest in STEM along their process and along the way that they are, along the way that their studies are going through. Even if they like science, then they do not pursue a career in technology, for example, or they are unlikely to do that. And why? We don't really know. We have a lot of studies going on. I just share with you this one. For me, it's very impressive, is that they really feel powerful using STEM, and that they don't know how to pursue a STEM career, or they lose, or they think that STEM is not for them in the end of the day. So we know that there are a few things that can help girls moving into STEM. We know we need to provide more role models. This is something that some of my colleagues in this panel have already talked about. We need more role models, women role models, because if you think about a few years back, Microsoft launched a video that was really impressive. They asked little girls to, high school, to name a woman scientist, and they couldn't. They say, oh, well, in school, it's always men scientists, it's never women, right? So this is something we need to work a lot on. Oh, also, generate excitement. Let them show how good, how fantastic these areas are, and how much they can learn from it. Provide hands-on experiences, because girls love to do things and to see things happening and see the impact that they can have in the world. Another very important topic is the encouragement. We need families, we need teachers especially, to provide encouragement for these areas. And someone has talked also about this before. Teachers are very important, and there is still a lot of bias in the teacher community around this. Even if it's unconscious bias, there are, and the stereotypes of women going to some areas and men going into computer science is still there, even though we have evolved not that much yet. And last but not least, encourage this growth mindset. Encourage the fact that you can fail and you can try again. And that was impressive on the video that Dana showed as well. Someone was saying, and I wrote it, if you fail, you try again. With more, with more courage, you try again. And this is exactly what we need to do. So just a few examples. When we look at the studies, we know that when girls have role models, and we're talking here about the study covered for grades from 5 to 12, it means that they are more likely, right, to be comfortable with STEM. They want to pursue a STEM career because they know someone, they have a role model. They know either their mom, their aunt, some friends, people that they see on TV, etc. So we need much more of that, because this really has impact, the fact that you have a role model. At the same time, you know how important for girls it is to make sure that they can have an impact in the world. This is really important for girls, really. And you see that when we put them in contact with concrete examples, that how you can, what you can do with STEM, how you can help the world, how your creativity, your intelligence can be put towards this, then the numbers are great. So you can see here in the little green numbers is after they see the examples. So it grows from, for example, if they want to be a mathematician, right, from 19 to 43 when they have concrete examples, or from 25 to 57 if they asked if this job can really do good things for the world. So this is just amazing when we look at the numbers and the perception that it can create when girls are put into concrete examples and generate this excitement to provide and to work for a better world through STEM. The same happens with hands-on experiences, okay? Girls that participate in clubs and activities are 42% more likely to say they understand the jobs that they could have, and they want to know more about and have more knowledge on STEM. Again, we do have a lot of things going on, and I want to give you a few examples of what we are doing, because this is something that is crucial for this empowering girls to go to STEM. Start very young, start in schools, making sure that schools are doing STEM activities, and they are doing STEM activities on a pedagogical way, integrated with what they're teaching the students, so that girls can understand what is this for? So what is the impact of this? How can this be so great? And there's a few examples. For example, we have a program called Hacking STEM, where we have lessons and hands-on experiences that any teacher can use in the classroom. And we really encourage teachers to do that, because not only this is free for any teacher, but of course it was written by teachers. So it has, I think, all it takes to make sure that in the classrooms, teachers can advance the way they convey STEM curriculum, but also make it more meaningful, especially for girls, also for boys, but especially for girls, because this has a lot of impact, as we've seen, in girls. Another example is Minecraft. And we have so many worlds on Minecraft, endless opportunities to explore STEM, to explore coding, and to explore how kids can build worlds. And I have a 10-year-old, and I know how much she loves Minecraft and how much she works on projects with the kids in her school. And how great it is to see that they can solve these problems, and they can do, for example, the coding activities that are launched, and they can do it, and they succeed. They try and fail, and then they succeed. This is really important for them, especially as they evolve and they continue to understand how important and what is the impact that technology can have. Last but not least, I also wanted to share with you this computer science curriculum. And we know that one of the things that teachers also struggle a lot in schools, and even policymakers, is how do you really integrate computer science into curriculum without making it boring, without making sure that the students will not, making sure that they will understand and they will not fly away when they hear about it. So it's very important that we start young again, and through this computer science curriculum toolkit that we have available, again also for free, any school can integrate computer science with all the levels and all the degrees and all the grades that kids are on, in a way that makes sense for them, but it makes sense for them to also to evolve and be challenged and have that curiosity being of course improved and nurtured. And this encouragement is very, very important, because we know that 81% of girls who are encouraged by STEM to engage with STEM by a parent are really more likely to stay and pursue those studies. And so we often know that even without, we don't do it on purpose, but when we ask, well, what do you want to do when you want to go big? So no girl would say, I want to be a computer science engineer. They would likely say, I'm going to be a teacher, or I'm going to be a doctor, or something like that. Because also that's the role models that they have. Once again, we need to encourage that. Everyone, so from policymakers to parents to industry, and of course to schools. And this growth mindset that I was talking to you about in the beginning, this is one of the most important things, because one of the problems of today's education is that sometimes it seems like there's only one right answer, right? If you do a wrong answer in a test or an exam, you might fail. So kids have this, I would say, also bias, right? That there's only one right answer, that if you fail, you fail. And then you're a failure in the end. And this is not what we want to pass. We know that there's a lot into learning. There's a lot that we need to bring into technology, especially in this age of AI. We need to bring more humanity into everything. And this means that we need to empower humans to be humans. We need to empower our kids to make sure that they can explore technology, they can explore engineering with this growth mindset. I will fail, yes, but I will try harder and I will find a solution. Because if you have a solution, finding a solution mindset instead of a problem mindset, I'm sure they will succeed in any area, but especially in STEM, where we really need them for the future. So this is just a summary where I would just highlight one or two of the things that I've just said. So for schools particularly, extracurricular activities in STEM are very, very important, especially for girls, because again, they can give them this hands-on experience and understand what's in it, what is the impact of what I do or what I'm doing, what I am creating. And this has really, really a lot of impact in the girls. But at the same time, we also have to listen to them. And so these examples that my colleagues shared of, empowering girls, doing workshops, hackathons, this is exactly what we need to change and to empower more and more girls into STEM. The numbers say that we are not improving at the pace that we need. So we all need to work together to make sure that this will happen. To finish, I will just share with you a recent activity that we've done in Portugal called Do It Girls, where we invited, it was again a test that we did recently. We invited both teachers and students. Each student and teachers were from the same schools, so 10 schools were involved. And what we wanted to make sure is that we also helped the teachers to understand if they were having some gender bias in the way they were putting the girls into contact with STEM, and at the same time show role models to girls, right? Promote this contact with female role models that they need so much, and we know that. And at the same time, making sure that we have a good partnership to promote STEM in schools. And these teachers can, of course, become ambassadors for more girls into STEM. So we are doing this across Europe anyway, in many countries. This is a big focus that we have. But we know it's not alone, we cannot do anything. We really need to have this great network and use the power of the European network in that sense to make sure that together we can do more and we can empower more girls into STEM. That's exactly what we want to do. So I will just finish with a last quote that I love from Mae Jemison, the first Afro-American women to go to space. And we cannot let anyone rob your imagination, your creativity, and your curiosity. I have a girl, as I told you, and I think about this every day. We cannot let the society and all the bias around it to cut this from them. And we can make sure, and there's a place for everyone in this world, in our life, and making sure that they can grab it and they can make it the life that they want to live. So this is, I think, the end of my presentation. I leave you my contact if you want to chat after this. And of course, on LinkedIn, you can also find me, and happy to answer any questions that any attendants might have. And thank you.
Dear Vanya, thank you very much. Really, I think I cannot agree with you more that we are all aligned in this panel. I took note already your keywords, which I think were mentioned also by other speakers, like role models, generating excitement, providing hands-on experience, providing encouragement, and encouraging a growth mindset. So, and also I have also an 11-year-old. I agree about using tools like Minecraft, really using the tools that kids are already having an interest. So I would like to thank all the speakers. I don't see any specific questions from participants, but I see a lot of links are shared about about inspiring role models. So please feel free to take a look at them. Seeing the time, I think we would be closing the session, but if any of the speakers would like to have a final remark after hearing other presentations, of course, you are welcome. And if not, we would like to take a group picture, I think. But then let me conclude with a few words. I think when we look ahead of us, we see a lot of things happening, a great pace of digitalization, emergence of artificial intelligence, which is in itself a medium for stereotyping and bias, but also a window of opportunity. And also we have shortage of skills in the job markets, which can be also another opportunity, and the environmental challenges and the ambition for a circular economy. But I think this panel of speakers made us believe that we are such an empowered group of women creating a network with all these initiatives and projects. I think we are capable of coping with this. So I invite you to have a group picture. So if you want to be in the group picture, please turn on your video. And Sasha will put us in the same frame, I guess. Yes, is everyone there?
Thank you, Celine. Yes. We would like to kindly ask you to turn on your camera if you want to be on the group photo. And yeah, a few seconds more. Be ready to smile in 3, 2, 1, smile. Yep. Let me do another one because I see people are still connecting. So one more time, 3, 2, 1, smile. Amazing. Thank you for joining us today, and have a lovely evening.
Thank you very much. And just as a final remark, I see that there is some interest about the presentations, videos and everything. We will publish them on the event page at All Digital Week's website. So thanks to our speakers for this fantastic overview and the participants for their interest. So we wish you a nice day and see you at another event during All Digital Weeks.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, bye.